Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Irrationale, and you are tuned into the Irrational Review. I'm here today at One Eye Jack Studios with the magnanimous Bobby Kane and the equally interested Vino and I.
What up?
You're interested. Oh. And we are joined today by the amazingly talented human being that I like to call my buddy or pal.
Oh, yeah.
Elliot Example. Say hello.
Hello, all right. Elliot Example, yeah?
Yeah, did you like that?
Elliot Gleave, aka Example.
Can I sort of put the two? No? We're going to go Elliot Gleave.
Examps.
Well, we were calling you Exhibit for about 15 minutes.
I just got stuck in my head.
What, like someone's auntie? How is that new Exhibit song?
I love that Exhibit.
Oh, I love Excited.
Yeah, and
It's
then
my
you walked
favourite.
in asking for biscuits, and we realised maybe you're just not living up to the Exhibit kind of like...
I was going to drive one of the cars down, you know what I mean? And then I looked on Google Maps, it's a bit ropey outside, so...
It's true. That road up here is no joke.
Oh, mate, well, wicked. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Anyway.
for having me, mate.
It's been a fun trip so far recording these podcasts. We thought we'd bring one more poor victim to come in and enjoy the random conversations that we actually enjoy.
Irrational thoughts, I like
Yes.
that.
Did you see what we did there?
It's like a irrational thought.
Yeah. People have been hitting me up going, bruv, you know that irrational's not got an E at the end. And I'm like,
It's a real word.
Oh, you're not seeing this? Like that. So it's been deep. So what we normally do is we kind of get together and we talk lots of nonsense that is irrational, basically.
I've gathered that already.
Yeah? Within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
We're good.
not much of a schedule, but
We try.
quick fire.
Yeah.
Quick fire.
Quick firing
nonsense.
is good. I mean, usually what I like to do is to start off with a bit of a chat about my socks, but today I brought in normal coloured socks, but so we're going to actually stick to something that's important, all right?
Those socks are a letdown.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just great.
They're like the ratio
like
of
the
grey
weather
to...
today.
You're not into it? No?
No.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I'm
that's
sick of
just...
talking about your bloody socks.
That's
all the
poor.
time.
Maybe we should change that bit then. What we like to do is normally talk about what's going on in the week, really. What's happened this week that's kind of made you go, you bloody what?
You bloody what?
You bloody what? Like that. So, I mean, to give you an example, this week, you see?
That's a bloody gag.
Come on. I didn't even know I was doing that.
Got a lot more lined up for you.
Exactly.
Good.
You worked on his own.
I tried. I did my homework. This week, I was sitting at home, as I normally do between the hours of 9 and sort of 10, putting all my emails together. And of course, there's been lots in the news, but something that's quite serious. And although we're here we're here trying to have a good time and talk about things that we enjoy, I think it's apt to talk about something that I saw, which is basically the update on the Windrush situation. Now, I don't know if you guys out there who are listening have an opinion per se, and I always love to hear your opinions, but lately this situation has been really grabbing headlines, and man, it's
just a mess.
It's a massive
disgrace,
mess.
man. It's a disgrace and embarrassment, man, to this.
So for anyone who doesn't know, or anyone who's been living under a rock per se, I mean, do you want to give us a bit of a breakdown of what...
Well, let's do the primary school version, which I think is the best way to
basically.
explain it.
Hit me.
So, after the Second World War,
Yeah.
obviously we lost a lot of our men and women, and our country needed rebuilding. And I think people were invited from all over the colonies to help with the rebuilding of our country.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough,
Yeah.
No surprises there.
Yeah.
We've got colonies.
And a load of lovely people came over from the West Indies or the Caribbean. Whichever
Yeah.
way you want to say it. What is the right way? It's like the Netherlands Holland thing, isn't it?
Yeah, completely.
What do you reckon? Are you a Windies man or are you a...
Caribbean, if you're talking about the whole region. Windies, if you're talking cricket.
All right. That's that. Sorry.
And that's the breakdown right
Everything
there.
today is kept so primary school.
I like
And,
that. Let's keep that going.
And I think it's basically bringing a load of people over that they wanted to do all the jobs the nationals, people born and bred here, didn't want to do, which is still okay. So, the reason I think it rings so true is because in the last 5 to 10 years, especially with a lot of people coming over from the EU, a lot of these people will come in to do jobs that, dare I say it, a lot of our own homegrown people
weren't interested in doing it.
weren't interested or too lazy to do.
It's beneath me. I'm not up.
Yeah.
And it's a similar story back then. The difference is a lot of these people were invited, it was last minute, they came on a boat and
Windrush
they were
boat.
set up in jobs, they were given housing and so on. They were treated like human beings, they weren't logged and registered.
They were promised they were going to be. They
Yeah.
were like, you're going to get registered. It's coming.
And they were like, there's probably a lot more things we need to sort out at the moment. You know what I mean?
Just
Because
wait for it.
I think, it took like 10 years really to recover from the war, or to, because there's so much stuff to sort out.
Yeah.
With the rebuilding and admin. Can you imagine the admin after a load of bombing?
Yes.
Have you seen the admin? We've had an inch of snow. The admin's pretty.
So
serious,
what's your name? Winston. Okay, Winston. Right. You can move to Notting Hill. It's a lovely area. Ladbroke Grove. You're going to love it. You can have a carnival if you want. You can go down. We're going to set it up. We're going to give you a great job. You've got to clean the tube. Yeah. And your older sister, she can work at the school as a dinner lady.
Yeah.
And it's great. We're going to give you a house. You got a roof over your head. And don't forget, there's a carnival. You can have a carnival. So where's my citizenship? Right. Don't worry about that.
Carnival.
Winston, it may take 1 to 15, 20 years. It's going to be fine.
1, 2,
and then,
1, 2, 50,
and then
20, 40 years.
every decade, new problems, new stuff going on politically.
Yeah. Filing system goes a bit
more.
We've got no ink in the
Exactly.
printer.
More crisis going on, and it just slowly but surely kept getting pushed to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, and we're
Here now.
Yeah.
And it's you've all got to go home now.
Yeah.
which is just
Crazy
ludicrous.
immigration loophole. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well,
bro.
all of this madness, the atmosphere was created by Theresa, the current government's whole plan after Brexit was to build this atmosphere up of we have to focus on immigration. Immigration's the issue. Immigration's the issue. And then they decided to they set targets, and this is what the whole Amber Rudd, who's recently just resigned. This was the whole thing. Was they started setting targets of you need to deport this many people by this amount of time to get them out of the country. So naturally,
they're looking at all the people who fit the bill for that. But what they're choosing to ignore here is these people have already been here 60, 70 years and have got families and lives and have...
See, the clerical error is what amazes me. So,
This
this is not like
how
a
can you
simple
not?
clerical error.
But,
where you
this is
suddenly
what I think
go,
when most
sorry.
people are upset and mad. Is how can you not just look and go, well, you know what, these people have been here 60, 70 years, they've got
into
kids and
this and see
grandkids.
what-
They're all good citizens, they're all taxpayer
Yeah.
citizens. We know who they all are. Let's just waive their forms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas they're putting them in the same bracket as people who've been here illegally for the last year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. That's what's so disgraceful.
It does beg the
But
question, though.
David Lammy highlighted this.
Yeah.
The Tottenham MP.
MP,
he's been good.
So
He
good.
highlighted this
So
5, 6, 7 years or
Yeah.
early 2000s and was
Yeah.
completely ignored. So he had the foresight then. He was like, "This is going to come.
Yeah.
This is going to
And
come."
now that it's
Theresa May's
here,
whole plan as Home Secretary back in the day was she's like she created a section. Everyone's like,
Wasn't it
who's mostly
targets?
affected by this? It's going to be the Windrush generation.
Yeah.
And she was like, because they've got no paperwork, and she was like, no,
it'll be fine.
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
But then slowly she just planted the seeds, bit by bit, and then
into the staff.
I'm surprised she didn't resign day one that this news story came out.
Honestly,
though.
but you could
the
see
fact
it
that
in
it
her
was
eyes
even like
when-
a thing that came to the press.
Yeah.
That's instant resignation for me.
It was the
Yeah,
attempt
like
to
that
try
you're
and almost
bunching these
wriggle
people,
out of it.
you're
That's-
bunching British citizens.
Yeah.
Who have built a life here
But
and
it's
worked for
highlighted
your
the fact,
country.
with respect, that it's highlighted the fact that sometimes the downtrodden are ignored, and sometimes some things are swept under the carpet. And it's happened recently with other events, such as Grenfell, for example, when there was obviously this awful atrocity that happened, and it highlighted the fact that somewhere in our country, in London, there were a bunch of people who were not necessarily recognised or have voices and so forth. And I think it kind of led back to that way of thinking for me a little bit, and it made me think about.
Well, it just shows who this government gives a fuck about and who they don't.
Yeah.
And quite simply,
They've shown their true colours there, haven't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
I actually, I wrote this song last week. I was telling you just before we started.
Yeah.
And it's only 8 bars, and it's a new song that's coming out end of the year called "Shake the System." And I just wanted to read this out, just because I've been thinking about it, and I think it just sums it all up.
Yeah.
Especially this one rule for us, one rule for them. Which is a very Tory thing.
it is.
So just check this. This is like one of the verses from this song. The other verse is about Grenfell loosely. And it goes, 60 years she's been living in, works till it's crippling, never once complained of the system that she's in. They're saying she's an immigrant and not a citizen. Now she got to leave and it's sickening. One rule for us, one rule for them. Cool for them to make decisions and ignore repercussions. Topic of discussion for humanity. They drop it if it's not even concerned with their vanity.
Oh.
And I think that kind of sums it up.
on
You
point.
know what I mean?
Jesus.
The vanity, and it kind of says
It's that
where the
arrogance
system's
that
at.
comes with this Tory.
Arrogance, yeah.
It's just fucking, and it is that. That's exactly what it is. The way they made, and the way they make people feel that have felt like this is their home for years.
Yeah, and
What's
completely
upset
remove
me
that.
the most is obviously I've seen lots of I've had, growing up in London, it's so multicultural, and having these, like, the communities and the cultures will be a big part of what's made me love London. Like, I absolutely love it because of the diversity. You know what I mean?
That's
one of the things that I miss when I go to Oz, because I live in Oz half the year.
I was going to ask you, what's that like when you were there? Do you feel
all the things that are great about the
Outdoor
UK,
barbecues.
they're lacking over there. So over there, it's all outdoor living. The sun shines all year round. There's no traffic. You know what I mean? You can find a parking space. You can get down the beach. You can have a barbecue every night.
Yeah.
And your kids spend their whole life at school, even outdoors.
Yeah.
Which are the things that you miss over here. But when it comes to like
diversity and social integration?
Cultural,
is
it
and, like, it's
non-existent?
even like every cultural reference you drop, the sense of humor, the irony, the sarcasm, all these things. Like even when I'm feeling creative over there, I don't get the same buzz that I get over here.
Yeah,
so all these things that make this country great.
This is
Exactly
great.
what
This
we
is the
should be
main
proud of.
thing.
This is
We
what we're
should be
proud of.
celebrating London and its diversity, and I think we always have done. I don't want to lace this up as something that's almost turns into a hate
London,
campaign.
It's Birmingham, it's
Manchester,
But
exactly everywhere now.
as Londoners to a degree, I suppose I can only speak about this town because I have experience in it and I've lived here. But I think what I wanted to try and sort of put across as well is the fact that although these events have taken place and it's completely outrageous, I'm proud to live in a country where when something like this does happen, there is uproar.
Yeah.
And there's a system
Do you know
in place
what?
that
Even the
allows
Daily Mail couldn't really agree with this. Even I was
You
reading
know
some
what the
Daily
Mail's
Mail
in,
stories.
it's like, okay.
And even the Daily Mail, you're reading this, and they're like, "Right, the Daily Mail are actually saying these people shouldn't go home."
Yeah.
shit. Like,
This shit is real.
This shit's real.
crossed the line. Someone's crossed the line big.
Yeah.
The Daily Mail are turning around and going, "No, that's too far."
That's too far.
And you're like,
Shit.
You're saying that.
This is going wrong.
In that case,
Exactly.
yes, Teresa, it's too far.
Hey, darling, I'm reading about this, and
There is some.
you know that black family down the street. You know they had us round for a dinner last year with the spicy chicken.
Yes.
Can you believe
Like potatoes. They were like
they're
potatoes.
trying to set, with the rice and peas, but they're not actually peas, they're kidney beans. And they're trying to send them home. It's a disgrace. I'm not reading the Daily Mail anymore.
Again.
That's the level we're talking about. What a fucking farce this is.
Yeah.
They're lovely black people. I can't believe Amber Rudd won't send them home. They cooked for us. Margaret, they cooked for us. That puts it all in perspective, innit?
Yeah,
But I
it
tell you
does.
what, this is the thing. We live in a country where when something like this does occur, there's a system in place that will allow for us to review it, like we're doing today in general conversation. To a point, of course. But then you've got to. I think I walk through life wanting to be very equally sort of balanced, so I don't become this.
One leg shorter than the other, not that vibe.
Exactly. Let's not go there. let's not go there. I've got one longer than the other.
I've got a
one
dodgy right
Have
Achilles
you?
at the moment. I'm very unbalanced.
Oh, mate. Well,
Anyway.
I know that feeling. But I'm saying, like, I think essentially we all are quite lucky to be in a place where we're able to almost speak about these things freely and openly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I always like to try and keep it as positive as I can in that regard.
Yeah,
If we were doing this podcast in Moscow right now, we'd be locked
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
Oh, within 5 minutes.
You'd have to see a drone just sort of rise up over the thing. Like, fuck, they found us.
Live drone.
People hiding in these
Exactly.
speakers
Oh,
in
God.
this studio.
You'd suddenly hear, like the front cabinet of a speaker pop off. You'd be like, oh god. Here we
You
go.
know it would be going down, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of interesting things that are happening this week or have happened recently, it made me think the birth of baby Louis or King Louis. Is it King Louis?
Prince Louis.
Prince Louis.
King Louis.
King or
The guy from the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
I'm the king of the swingers. Or
Wow.
I love
I think I
that.
just watched that yesterday. That must be the reason why. I was literally, that's like my fourth time in a month.
Same thing. What's all this talk about
What's
King
this
Louis?
King
Yeah.
Louis swinging through the
Mate,
jungle or some
Can we
shit?
just talk about how peng she looked coming out of that
Oh,
hospital?
mate, can we just say?
Did you see all the memes of all the mums?
Listen.
Like all the other mums who just had a baby and they're like, like zombie, like.
And she walks out looking like she's just
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
just. So can I just get this right?
Like the
Because
baby just fell out of her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bad retention
I
of
wanna know
memory here. Did she just give birth that particular day and walk out? Was it the
Yeah,
day
yeah.
before?
The day before.
was
She
Well, it
looked-
was like 12 hours before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I
Like
have
my
to
missus
say,
actually, my missus is a superhero when it comes to that. Both our babies, she was walking out of hospital herself 4 hours after giving birth.
4 hours.
But she's a freak of nature.
That is
But
not normal.
she
man.
was still like limping and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? She was still,
Through something. That
she
night
was still a bit
like-
Walking Dead,
Yeah.
and she's just come out like, hello.
That's
You
what
know what I mean?
But then I think-
they must have some
I think-
serious medical care. Man. They must
yeah,
have some
to,
futuristic
or you wonder about the
lasers
method.
and all God knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Because she literally.
Lasers.
I don't know how it works. I'm thinking of futuristic
Mate,
stuff.
I don't
Terminator
want to
2, mate. It's
imagine
the royal family.
lasers.
Yeah, something along them lines. I'm sure.
Yeah. Listen, I mean,
honestly, like that was not someone who's just given birth.
But then
She looked like she just wants
think
to get
about it
knocked
this
up
way.
straight away, innit?
Yeah.
She come out looking so
Ready?
fly.
Ready
But
for the
she
next one.
is who she is. She
Ready?
can't- She can't walk out there like, oh
Prepare the
God, you
bedroom
guys
jeans,
here.
I'm ready again. I'm ready to go.
Oh shit!
But then on the flip, if she did walk out looking as though life had ended and it was the most difficult birth ever,
That would have depressed
it would have
the
been
nation,
it would have been depressing as hell, and it must be. Hang on a sec.
People wouldn't
But
identify with
thinking
it.
about it from that perspective, imagine being her, being her, and being that family to a degree.
She looked pretty cool with it though.
Yeah.
She didn't look like she'd been like put up, like forced out on a pedestal and like made to smile.
Oh no, but it must be some sort of regal responsibility.
third one in,
course,
man.
yeah.
Where you walk
Like,
out
don't
and you're like,
forget,
I
we-
want to address the
Smile
nation.
training.
I don't actually remember when
to that degree.
so Princess Diana when she had William.
Yeah.
I don't remember it because I'm 1 day older than Prince William, and I don't remember it because I didn't remember much when I was 1 day old. But I was looking at pictures of her coming out. She looks a bit more like you'd expect.
Yeah, like
You know what
someone
I
who had a
mean?
baby.
It was the
Someone
80s,
had had a
though.
baby.
It was the
whereas-
80s, though. So I don't mean the.
They didn't have lasers. They didn't have lasers, man. That's what I'm talking about. But like, the thing is, I want to know.
You're gonna have to let this laser
what's
thing
the
go,
deal?
man.
Is
There's
it-
no lasers.
Oh well, I don't know. I'm assuming it must be. But with the baby names, have they got like a list of ex-kings' names? They're like, you're
Yeah,
not.
they can
allowed-
only have ex-kings
Can you
names.
not have like baby Jason, baby like?
Jermaine,
A lot of
Jermaine.
them take nicknames though, don't they,
Tyrone.
from their middle name?
King Trevor.
Oh, so middle name.
Yeah.
Same.
Mate, you're thinking about
You're thinking
Black
of Trevor
Panther, mate.
Nelson.
That's like, what
That's
is
what I'm
that?
saying.
Wakanda Forever is not a thing.
Barry.
But-
What about Barry's?
Oh, I don't think you could get away with a
It's
Barry.
just, the name's dying off. I'm just saying, give it a chance.
Barry's a
Barry
tough
and
one.
Lee,
Bartholomew?
Lee and Gary, they're all those names are going to
Gary's
be
gone, innit?
Yeah.
What would have been great would have been
Last year
Scandal.
was the first year there's no baby Gary recorded.
Yeah. And Lee was there
Gary's.
before
You
that,
kidding
so
me?
he
You being
blocked-
serious?
Yeah, there was no one in the UK named their baby Gary last year for
Yeah.
the first time in history.
I would have thought that was like right up there with a list of bloody names,
Not
mate.
anymore,
Like.
mate.
It's just you know a lot of Garys. You know a lot of Gaz. Don't mean that we all know.
Gary-
Like,
I was just talking to Gaz this morning, mate. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Well, Essex, mate. There's loads of Garys. All right, Gaz. All right, mate. Yeah.
Don't hate.
No, not him.
I just think that what struck me was the fact that when I was probably about 18 and something like that occurred that was world news, I'm not sure who would have been born, if it was some sort of royal situation, it was a big deal. But even the newscasters and even the kind of like
Playing it
good
down.
morning, they were kind of like, oh, and we're just outside here at the hospital.
It's the third baby, bro.
It's the-
Nobody,
Like third?
nobody gives a shit after the second one, really.
oh, this is the second. Is this the second? Third?
That's the third.
This is the third.
It's the third one, bro.
I missed the second one.
It's the little girl.
There's a girl. All right.
Yeah.
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 That's the media for you.
Yeah. So they're basically what we're saying is they're obsessed with Diana.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
either the country as
Yeah.
a whole, or the world, are less interested in the royals, or the media are giving them more space because of what happened to Diana.
Yeah. That
One or the other.
Yeah.
I'd much prefer the
I
latter.
don't,
man.
there's less and less, there's fewer royalists, I think, and then there were like when we were growing
Definitely.
up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're all similar
Yeah.
age. They're like every time something happened, it was always on the news, and there was always a parade. I think the last big thing we've seen that we would have seen in our generation will have been
The wedding.
William and Kate's wedding. I don't
Yeah.
think we'll see anything on the scale of that again. Even Harry and.
But then,
and
yeah,
Meghan,
So
of
you've
course,
got
the
different
next
cul-
wedding is coming up shortly, isn't it? In
But
Windsor,
you've
of
got
course.
a different culture now when you've got like the princes are now going to clubs and bars and getting.
Yeah,
blackface.
they're more like man of the people
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Whereas
So-
before, like even in the 80s, they were still like a fairy tale.
Yeah,
They were
exactly.
like
It
the
was like-
Disney fairy tale
Exactly.
princess.
Yeah,
Someone
we only
has
had
that
5
idea
channels.
that,
Which
like,
channel? Yeah, that's the kind
They've
of
got
like.
this sort of Rapunzel. Not I don't know. One of them princesses.
Rapunzel. So Rapunzel was locked in a tower. She had long hair.
Where you going with this?
Well, that's what happened to the other girlfriend that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
No, but like, but you know, I don't know. I'm not saying categorically. Yeah.
Are you apologising on national
One of
podcast?
Harry's ex-girlfriends. is
All
not
the
locked
princesses out there, I want to apologise.
I'm really sorry.
No, but like
You're all great.
That's why I think the atmosphere's changed now, because it used to be like the media would make this whole story and everyone had this expectation that the royal family were this like ultra perfect living untouchable superstars and like like Diana's grace and all that. They were all talking about that, and now you got like, oh, Harry was sick in it being that family. You know what I mean?
Harry dressed as a Nazi.
Yeah.
Lol.
I think
Lol,
that
what
was
a guy.
Yeah. Wonder how that's gone down with his new wife to be. Do they not talk about that?
No, they don't talk about that
Time
one.
when you were just as oh no, we don't talk about
Don't
that.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Is
In
she,
a
is
way.
she like she's like a quarter?
Yeah, this is what I was about to
Yeah.
say.
Is it a
She's
quarter?
like a quarter. Is she called quarter black or?
Black, I think.
Yeah.
Because
that
the
did
day
come
it
up
come
as
out,
a,
they were
yeah.
like, when they got
They
together, there
were-
were so many memes
Yeah.
of just people, just like yard people vibing.
Yeah.
They were like, this is going to be the wedding after.
They were
party.
trying to dig up
exactly.
info as well,
Jokes
weren't they?
about
They were trying to big up
barbecues on
any video of
the-
her out doing
Even if
anything.
she'd have been like 1/16th black, those memes would have gone crazy.
Do you know what?
Because everyone's like, yes,
Yes.
it's been a black and royal family.
Finally.
It's happening.
Finally.
Yeah.
But it's happened in history before, but I don't think it's ever been such a big deal. But and the age that we live in, everything.
To be fair, if you look at the royal family over the years, they're
Yeah.
just like the British royal family made up of what, like
Germans,
French,
Swiss.
Austrians, Italians,
Yeah.
Little Greek.
Hungarians,
Greek.
Greeks, and
And more power to that.
To be honest, mate, all human beings, everyone's got a bit of everything, innit?
Yeah.
Unless you're a pure blood. I'm a pure blood. My dad recently had his DNA done because I've got
This
quite
is freaking people out.
I've
as
got a
well.
rare blood group, rare blood type. So
Yeah.
when I went to give blood when I was like 18, they were like, "Oh, can you come more often? Because you've got, I think it was like type O negative.
Oh, damn.
So you've got like a blood that a lot of people with darker skin have, and a lot of people with darker skin don't give blood as much. So could you come and give blood more often?
Oh, snap.
And then I've never done my DNA, but now there's people giving them like the birthday presents, going to have your DNA tested. And my dad went and had his.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, as far as we know, through generations, everyone's been born here. But he's got Scandinavian, French, Irish, native Caribbean Indian.
Wow.
Mad, you know, and who were all wiped out.
That's beautiful, man. I love that. That's
See, that's
great.
what's
That's,
epic.
But then when you see that and you just meet my dad, he's just like a white geezer with a bald head. I mean, he lives in Oz.
Is his name Gary by any chance? Is
No,
it?
his name's Mike. His name's Mike. But it just goes to show, you know, like you'd start testing everybody
Yeah.
and
Well,
finding
it's
out.
freaky.
Not that everyone should get a test. I'm
Yeah,
not
go
like-
and get your blood tested. See where you're from. Family
Everyone should
tree.
have ID cards. But, with your DNA breakdown. It's
no, there's a
no,
clerical
he
error,
can
there's a
say that. He
clerical
can
error.
say that. He's 7% French. He can say that. Oh no, he can tell the Irish joke. But it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's what's freaking out. Loads of like they keep on sending. I think it was Germany or somewhere that paid for loads of like their maybe not Germany. I think it was Sweden.
Yeah.
Neo Nazis there to go like go and get your blood, go and get your DNA tested
Yeah.
because you got this such strong views about this and all this sort of stuff. Go and get it tested. And there was hundreds of them who were like, oh,
Yeah.
like I've got North African relatives,
Good.
I've got like.
Well, like the UK's been invaded more times than anywhere else, apart from probably like
Yeah, if you
you know
look
that
back in
little
history.
that little belt around like Turkey and Iraq
Yeah.
and North Africa, where there was just so much. That was like the centre of the world for trade.
Yeah.
But anyway, how do we get on this?
I don't know. I think it was King Louis.
Back to King Louis.
King Louis.
What's next on the agenda for this week?
Well, I was going to try and avoid this conversation, but I don't think there's any way we can avoid it this morning. And I like to keep it real as much as I can.